So halftime over now. Now we're gonna get to the main events. One y'all been waiting for. Godzilla 2014 versus Kong 2017 in Godzilla versus Kong 2021. So what we're gonna do here, this is not gonna be like, we're not gonna run through the entire film beat for beat and detail the whole story, right? We're just gonna share thoughts on the film. We're gonna get into spoilers, so you mention things that work and stuff that didn't work, and whether we cared or not, basically, because this is like the kind of interesting thing about this show here, where there are things that if you stop for a minute and you really think about it, they either just don't work when you really think about it, or they just don't make any
Yeah.
sense while they play out. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? Maybe I should just kind of let slide, just wait for these creatures to just fight each other, and then we'll see if it kind of makes sense or not, right? Which you'll get into, right?
Mm-hmm.
So before we begin, just just the intro to let you all know, right? So history with the Monsterverse thus far, right? So far on this program here, we've reviewed, as in Ricardo and I, we've talked about Kong Skull Island, we talked about Godzilla King of the Monsters, but we haven't talked about the film that started all, right? This is 2014's Godzilla, and this is one where, I mean, like, looking at it now, I could understand why they wanted to make it sort of dramatized and whatnot, try to pay tribute to the 1954 film and all that kind of stuff. But it was to the detriment of what we paid, all of us paid money to see, and that was Godzilla. Like, literally, he was barely in the film. And you could make the argument, well, it's not so much about him, but it's the fear that he generates and how the people feel. But it's like, look, we came to see Godzilla. Like, what's going
Thank
on,
you.
right? That's what we came to see. So that's a show that I totally hate, though. But I got what Garrett Edwards was attempting, right? In terms with that. When Kong Skull Island came out, for me that felt like a breath of fresh air in terms of this whole kaiju stuff that isn't part of the Pacific Rim universe, basically. And
Right.
I just appreciate the fact that they used a Vietnam War setting, right? Or sorry, post Vietnam War setting. I've never seen that before. And to me, that just totally worked, right? Like, it's no masterpiece at all, right? But like, because I
Yeah.
actually rewatched it, in preparation for the new movie here, and yeah, I mean, there's still a few moments
Yeah.
that kind of don't
There's
work,
some
but
interesting themes there too with the whole Sam Jackson character and men who can't put down the sword, so to speak.
yeah,
They
I,
have
I
Yes.
to
actually
find
love
an
that about the
enemy.
film. Yeah,
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 I thought that was a great idea, having Samuel Jackson just be that guy who just doesn't want to give up, being a good fighter and just treating Kong like he's this mortal enemy and all that kind of stuff, right?
I
So it's
remember
really the
the
whole King
Vietnam.
Kong, he got shit on me kind of thing. That's what they did with him.
The Vietnam
yes.
War was always a very touchy subject for the Americans too. So it kind of touches on the fact that they were kind of sore losers, and that's probably why to Samuel L. Jackson he just couldn't let go of the fact that, oh my God, I'm only losing inside kind of thing. Some people don't
Yeah,
take that very well.
yeah, indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
So for me, like that film, I mean, all the films in this universe thus far, I mean, they're not perfect, right? But I would say,
Hmm.
though, Kong Skull Island do just gave me that escapism that I wanted from Godzilla. Do it's just
Yeah.
it just like the exotic setting, and just having like just all these big name actors be in the show and literally trying to
Yeah.
figure out what to do, and the film just giving them things to do, or monsters to run away from or fight,
Yeah.
right? While you have Kong just being an absolute badass. So this really, and I'll bring this up in the review, just showing, yeah, this man's like an absolute fighter, but like, this guy will not go down at all. He will fight to the
Hmm.
bitter end. So I mean, I understand why people were rooting for Kong in this new movie, just off of me watching this film again, right?
Right.
When it comes, sorry, to Godzilla King of the Monsters now, uh yes, this was a delight as well, in terms of, oh, this is the kaiju stuff that we wanted to see with the first one, right? Yeah, what I really appreciate about it, though, is that it took these iconic kaiju, you know what I mean, like Mothra, King Ghidorah and Rodan, right? I just visualize them
Yeah.
in like just these incredible awesome ways, Jen. And yeah, I really appreciated that about the film. In terms of Vera Farmiga's, you know, game plan in terms of these creatures still makes no sense at all. But I could like watching it again, I could kind of understand where she's coming from. But it's just that whole generic. We have to just wipe the slate clean and have these titans destroy everything and then rebuild everything. It's just such a cliche anime thing, right? Anime subplot, right? But you know what I mean? Like, still, it was an entertaining film. It's one of those films that, it's a shame that it was a box office flop. Like, like looking back at it, I can kind of understand why. And, once again, it's just going back to that whole, these humans that we don't care about. We don't care about Vera. We don't care about, Kyle Chandler. We don't care about Billy Bobby Brown. We don't care about these characters. We just want to see these creatures fight and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
But I will kind of make the argument that we kind of need the human stuff, and it's always been part of what made those older kaiju films work in the first place, right? So it is what it is. But yeah, for the most part, like yeah, Godzilla was a miss for me, but I would say that the Monsterverse got considerably better with the other two films. So yeah, I mean, before we get into Godzilla versus Kong, what we thought about it, Ricardo, your quick history with the Monsterverse up to this new movie here.
Right. So, for me, I kind of like the original Godzilla, the 2014 one. It was decent enough for me. The only problem was not enough Bryan Cranston. That was kind of the big unforced error.
Yeah, I
That was
forgot he was in
yeah,
that too, right?
yeah. That,
Yeah,
that was a big unforced error with that film for me. Is that it should have been his full arc involving the storyline, and they decided to just kill him off halfway through the film. And Aaron Taylor Johnson, who I think is a pretty good actor, was terrible in that movie. His character was terrible. His he was not a particularly good actor. He was basically having sex with his sister in the movie, if you understand that reference. Um,
oh
uh,
yeah.
yeah,
I see what you
and
did there. Yeah,
Ew.
he just was a terrible character and didn't work. And then because they didn't have that much Godzilla, like we only got Godzilla at the end, it just kind of fell flat overall. I really enjoyed Skull Island for what it was. Had a lot of fun with it. Jordan Vogt Roberts just has a good eye for like that material, and he just totally made it work. And it was like, yeah, he was just making it flow, and I was just thoroughly enjoying the whole situation as it was. But yeah, I couldn't. And then King of the Monsters, I liked a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, the human stuff was outright atrocious in that movie. It was kind of borderline unacceptable, actually, the way how bad it was. But the monster stuff was badass, especially that last peak sequence with what do you call him with
Good
Godzilla
dear.
and Godira at the end in that nuclear
Yeah.
Godzilla. That was like amazing. That was like
oh yeah,
truly that
yeah.
made the whole film worth it for me. So I on the fence about the franchise. It's not blowing me away, but they're doing enough, and clearly they're trying something. Like they're clearly trying to make it make it work, and I can't be mad at any of it because it's getting like the beats right, even though the human stuff doesn't work at all. But that's the same problem with Transformers films, right? It's that same, a lot of not necessarily good substance, but we have this style, right? And I can't be mad at any of that. And that's it. I mean, it's just a decent enough franchise. None of the films really blew me away. It just was good, just fine. Yeah, you're doing something. I can't be mad at that. Fine.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Julian, your quick thoughts with the Monsterverse up to this new movie here.
Yeah, I think I'm not the biggest Monsterverse fan. I agree with Ricardo. Godzilla, if they had left Ian Cranston, who was easily the best character, not only in that movie, but the entire franchise, just let him run through the whole movie, it'd have been way better. And if we actually got to see, Godzilla, not all these tease shot. Oh, Godzilla, no, let's close the door. Or no, let's cut quick. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you did get a little, you finally get some action down at the end, but at that point, I was like, nah, man, well, it tease me too placid much. So, yeah, not a fan of the first one. I'm one of the few persons. I'm not a huge fan of Kong Skull Island. I think it has some great effects and some great action, but I'm like, you just take all these great talented character actors and put them there and just do little to nothing with them. I was like, it kind of felt like a bit of a missed opportunity for me. So I'm entertained by it, but I thought it could have been a bit better. Um, Godzilla King of Monsters, I mean, that one really delivered on the action of all the kaiju. I found it was a little overstuffed, and I don't know why everything had to be so dark and shadowy. It's like you're having great
Yeah.
action. I would really love to see
True, true,
more of it,
true.
you know.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so some of those choices, yeah, didn't really work. But I mean, overall entertaining. So yeah, it's okay. As I said, I'm not the hugest fan.
Right, right. Summer, your quick thoughts on the Monsterverse movies up to this point.
Um, I feel like the funny thing is where some of them win, where one would win, the other one would lose, and yet vice versa. So the score kind of comes out the same for all of these films. The first Godzilla movie was one of the few times I ever lost my cool in cinema, and I actually kind of verbally said out a little bit too loud, "Where the hell is Godzilla?" Because it was taking so long to reveal him. I did, however, like the reveal. I did like the look and the scale and everything there, but it was a little bit too late, you know. And then, of course, we had Kong Skull Island, which I enjoyed. I don't love it as much as you and Alicia do, but I enjoyed for what it is. It's a nice throwback to those old adventure films, and
Right.
I dig that. But I was more here for Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I got very excited to see Mothra and Godira and these people. And I think, with the exception of the bad lighting, I don't know if it's okay, you know, I don't know why it's so dark in some places. I think those battles were exceptional. And yes, the humans are completely wasted in that movie. I don't even remember half of who were in the movie. But I just got so caught up in the monster battle of it all that I did not care. Granted, that's bad. We really do need that human connection to see, you know, how people are relating to what it is happening with these titans. But um, I enjoyed that a lot. And then this one, I feel like they strike a good balance. Yes, the human characterization here is not that much better at all than what came before, but the battle itself, the battles, I should say, was just so well done. Adam Wingard just he nailed it for me. And this one, in all of them, I would say this one is my favorite of the bunch. It's not like I would say it's this perfect film or anything like that, but for me, this is the best of the group.
All right.
Right. Alice, your quick thoughts on the Monsterverse up to this movie here.
Well, I agree with Summer wholeheartedly in that the first one wasn't such a bad movie. They just um they just played with us a little too long in terms of taking their cool time to show Godzilla. The name of the movie is Godzilla, for goodness sake. You don't wait until three-quarters of the movie is gone and then you show Godzilla. But the look was epic. You know, it wasn't a giant iguana like in the 1998 version. You
Godzilla.
know, it was it was Godzilla, you know, in all his glory. But as you know, as I mentioned before, Kong Skull Island is one of my faves. It's actually a guilty pleasure of mine. I like the look of it. I like the score. I love the battle scenes with between Kong and the Skull Crushers. It was totally epic for me. I don't know why I enjoyed that particular movie so much above all the others in the franchise. It's very strange. Because every time I see it, I can't help it. I have to sit down and look at it. And well, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, I only got to see it very recently. I think literally like just 2 weeks ago, I got to see it. And yes, I agree that there were a lot of areas where the lighting was way too dark, and I really didn't have chance to bond with any of the human characters in it, and it is a shame because you have some big actors in there. You know that they have a good opportunity to do something with them, especially with an actor
Mm.
like Kyle Chandler,
Right.
because I've seen him in
Yes,
similar
yes.
stuff, and he is a superb actor. So to see him not really get used too much, it was kind of disappointing. But the battle scene really was epic. Um, And coming up to this one, I have to say that I was not disappointed in terms of how it came out. I think it was a bit of an improvement, and it's basically a smashing of two big titans together, just to come like one big epic movie, and I had a ball watching it.
Yeah. All right, so I'll just do a quick enough synopsis of this, and then we'll just start to, you know, share our thoughts on the film, right?
Hmm.
So basically, this story is set 5 years after King of the Monsters, right?
Hmm.
And we start off with Kong. As you know, Skull Island is one of the outposts from this corporation called Monarch, right? If you remember Monarch, that's this corporation that pretty much observes these the Titans and more or less
Hmm.
keeps them in check, right? Or more or less knows where they are and whatnot, and
Yeah.
prevents them from running amok if that should happen, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Kong is there now, and we are introduced basically to a few characters there. So one is played by Rebecca Hall. She plays Dr. Eileen Andrews. Well, she is also the adoptive mother of this girl, this native girl. Because remember from Skull Island, they were natives there, but they kind of say what happened to them in a scene, right? Well, they kind of establish what happened to them, right?
Yeah.
Her name is Gia, and she is actually deaf. Deaf, sorry, right? So they learn later that she's able to communicate with Kong through sign language, right? Which is actually a really nice little subplot that they do there, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, through some circumstances, they realize that Kong needs to go back home to his real home, right? Well, I would say where all these titans came from. This is a place that's been called Hollow Earth, right? So basically,
Mm.
it's at the center of the Earth. We'll talk about the logic there. It works with reverse gravity and just all kind of weird stuff. But basically, there is this, like I should say, this power source there, right? And through some circumstances, this guy who runs this cybernetic company called Apex, right, decides that they should basically try to get Kong, because they figure, the only way we could find this place is if a Titan knows the way, right? So basically, it's like, hey, let's just get Kong to do this, right? So they basically ship him over to Antarctica, I believe it is, to find that spot, right? So while all this is going on, now we introduce to this conspiracy theorist podcaster by the name of Bernie Hayes, who's played by Brian Tyree Henry, right?
Mhm.
They really had me at conspiracy theory podcast, right? I'm like, wow, these things actually exist. Wow, right? And he is at Apex. Well, he's actually trying to expose something at Apex, right? And while he's trying to do his thing, hey, Godzilla attacks, right? And he's wondering why, right? And it's only later we learn that Godzilla's looking for something, right? Basically, something that Apex is involved in, and yes, it has to do with that same power source thing, right? So yeah, through some circumstances, while in the process, while they try to ship Kong, Godzilla just kind of keeps getting in the way, basically, and that's where we kind of have a hint of the first fight, basically. And then, well, while when he finally finds the actual hidden earth and all that kind of stuff, we learn a little bit more about his past and who he's kind of destined to be, or you should say, this is where he technically is king, because they don't really call him king in this film, but they kind of establish, yeah, he is king pretty much, right? But yeah, in the process, he finds a weapon, we'll call it that. And yeah, this is what he will use when he goes up against Godzilla, who finally finds what Apex, or figures out what Apex is up to, pretty much. And there's a huge battle that ensues, and I'll just stop there, right? So just to get this out of the way, though, this is not a great movie, right? But I do like the fact that the show is aware of that. This to me is where I have to give credit to Adam Wingard for this, right? This is where they
Mm.
finally realize, like, look, we're gonna throw stuff at you, right? If you really stop and think about the logic behind these things, it will just take away from all the dumb shit we threw it at you, Trent. It will just distract you, right? Because yeah, there's a lot of things in it. Not like plot holes right there, that, but just logic stuff that really don't make any sense. And it's also like narrative decisions that to me I didn't see coming. Like I didn't expect the whole conspiracy theory stuff thing there. I didn't expect that, tagging along with this guy with Byron's with Brian's character is friggin' Millie Bobby Brown again because I guess we need to have her come back in the film. I didn't see that coming a mile away. I didn't even expect this stuff with Kong and Hidden Earth and all that stuff. Hollow Earth. Keep saying Hidden Earth. I didn't see all these things coming. I will lie though. I was like, all right, I see these subplots going, but where are they going and why we not seeing what we come to see, right? And then they kind of tell you, oh, this is why it really, well, this is where it was all leading up to. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of dumb, but all right, I guess we need to show how he got the axe in the first place. That's the weapon I was referring to, and this is why Godzilla went there in the first place, which you'll get into later on.
Hmm.
So it just feels like just two different stories, but they all kind of just there to serve a purpose to say, oh, well, this is why Godzilla shows up at this place, and this is how Kong was able to show up at this place, and how he's now able to fight, Godzilla at this point, right? So, we could argue as to what it makes sense or if it works in the story or not. But I would lie though, the payoff is where the show really, really shines though, because yeah, the fight itself is just jaw dropping, and this is one where I regret. I don't know if it was probably different for like Summer and Julian, but this is one of those things I wish that I saw on big screen. But this was meant to be seen on a big screen. Where it is so
Absolutely.
larger than life, so over the top, so dumb, but it works, Jen. It brought me back to 90s and 2000s summer blockbusters where, yeah, you just paid money just to shovel, popcorn in your face and just watch a bunch of like explosions and stuff. It just took me back to that time. Um, they really outdid themselves with the visuals in this one. This is some of the best visuals I've seen in this franchise thus far, though. They really, really did a great job here. But yeah, I mean, what would just say up to this point here? 'Cause I don't want to ramble too long. I know you guys have more stuff to say. The journey to get there is kind of rough. You know what I mean? Just and kind of worrisome. Like you're not really sure where things are going and why. But I will lie though, when the destination boy is absolutely worth it, boy. So, Ricardo, well, before we get into spoilers, of course, just a general view on the film.
I didn't like this as much as Skull Island or King of the Monsters. But it did. Okay, so what I'll say is that the lows in this is not as low as King of the Monsters, but the highs in this is not as high as King of the Monsters. Like I enjoy the fights more in King of the Monsters. This was cool. It's still good, but it didn't rope me in as much as I thought it could have. It was kind of slow for me, and then the payoff wasn't as strong as I thought it could have been. That's kind of my take on it. It was fine, but it was good. Still good. I had a
Right.
lot of fun with it. The final fight was pretty fun. The second fight in Hong Kong was pretty fun. Like I
Yes.
enjoyed it. And then the big weird conspiracy theory, as I say, the conspiracy theory, pseudoscience conceit that they bring in. It's like okay, that's silly and it works in fiction kind of, but I thought, it's a very silly premise that I don't know where you could do it, and I just find it so kind of dumb in its own right. But whatever, it's fine. For what it is, and like I don't know what they're going to do with it, but yeah, I dug it for what it is. But I still had fun. I liked it.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Alice, kind of general view on the film before we get into spoilers.
Honestly, I would say I liked it as much as I liked Skull Island. I really wasn't paying attention again too much to the human characters because again, you don't really go into a movie like this really wanting too many deep subplots kind of stuff, right? But one of the things that I really enjoyed was the human element in the monsters themselves and the facial expressions. I really
Yeah, I know what
enjoy
you mean.
that.
Yeah, especially with Kong. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Godzilla to extent, 'cause they have some kind of they do a few weird close-ups of him, like he's reacting or he's
His
like,
wicked kind of
you know,
smile.
Hey,
yeah, like he's
hey.
thinking about things finally, Yeah.
Yeah. So there was that. I actually enjoyed the pseudoscience part of it, which is the Hollow Earth theory, which is actually a real theory that was explored back in the 17th century,
Right.
and it has
Okay, okay.
since been,
Yeah.
disputed.
Yeah. No, it's very
Debunk.
It's
It's
very
been
Edgar
debunked.
Rice Burroughs stuff. Like
Yeah.
Yes.
stuff like that.
Right.
That's why I didn't really hate it. But yeah, it's like, oh, okay, we still
It's
doing
funny.
this.
It's funny you mentioned Edgar Wright with Tarzan being in this movie as well,
Yeah,
Right,
and
yeah.
some of Tarzan's stories also taking place in Hollywood. So
right,
That
that's
is
kind
exactly,
true.
of
right,
cool.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
Yes. And I remember seeing it in my dad had some of those books as well too. Some of those Tarzan books with the Hollow Earth stuff.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
so when seeing it here, it brought me back to that very nostalgic thing, seeing the covers and reading the synopsis on my dad's books. Because he had like a whole bunch of that as well too in his collection, and I really was not mad at it at all with that part. And yeah, the conspiracy thing, what I think that was just more like for comedic input as far as I was concerned, so I laughed when it was funny. um in between that, I really enjoyed the all the battles between Kong and Godzilla, and I liked the teaming up in the ending and so on like that, and the mutual understanding. Okay, you stay there and I stay here, kind of thing.
Right.
Just don't come in my territory. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I could see myself going back to watch it again and again.
Right.
Yeah.
Julian, general view on the film before we get to spoilers.
Yeah, as I said before, I'm not a huge fan of the Monsterverse, but I will say this is my favorite of the Monsterverse so far.
Right.
Um, yeah, I think visually, just awesome visuals. The action was just so good. And I think what Adam Wingard did so well, like he realized, you guys not here. I have to put human characters. I mean, first I have a plot, but I'm not gonna have them overstay their welcome. And there was no character here that I wanted to physically strangle, which was a plus for me. And like, one or two guys like, hey, I kind of care whether you live or die. So yeah, so I had a time with it. I was entertained. I thought the pacing was really well done, and yeah, this is what I if Monsterverse can keep this up, yeah, I think they have a very bright future.
All right. Summer, your general view on the film before we get to spoilers.
I I think they've taken each movie has taken a step into a better direction on some level. And I'm with Julian on this one. This one is my favorite. I felt like Adam Wingard, for somebody who's come from doing such much smaller films, he seems to have a deep love and understanding of these characters. And I did feel I kind of agree with Ricardo where the energy of the fights weren't as quite as high as they were in King of the Monsters. Yet, what I appreciated here is I could see everything, every punch, every kick, everything just looked so good. It brought me back to the first Pacific Rim where I could see everything. I could feel the weight of them, the size of them, the damage they were doing. And I'm here for the monsters. So I honestly could not care less about these human characters. I think they did what they had to do to move the plot along. And maybe that's not the best thing. Maybe we really do need them to tighten up on that issue they keep having with these human characters in these types of movies. I'm not sure how you would do it because, like Ricardo pointed out as well, with Transformers, it's kind of I don't know. We're here for the big action, so how do you balance that out? I'm not the one to answer that question, but I got what I wanted out of this. My boy ruled, right? Godzilla wins hands down, and I'm all for it, right? And
We can talk about that. We can talk about that.
I I'm just pleased as punch with this movie. So yeah, that's where I stand with this one.
Yeah. So we will end things off with the fight and then, thoughts on rating, right? But just to begin, right? So the human stuff, right? Like I say, there's two plots going on, right? And like okay, like I knew that we needed the humans, to pretty much get Kong to be at a particular space for Godzilla, right? But I wouldn't lie though, and all right, so just in general, this is not me like nitpicking the show and saying that I hate these things and I hate these decisions, right? But it's one of those things where if I that just really sat down and really thought about it, really think about it, sorry, it would just be like, all right, but why though? Like, why would you make that decision, right? Even though when it all comes together, it's like, okay, I could kind of let that slide, right? So first off for me was the decision of just having Godzilla just kind of seemingly move like, he's going crazy, right? He
Right.
just kind of shows up, he's just doing damage. And even the movie and all kind of stuff will be like, well, he helped us in the battle 5 years ago. So, we the protector of Earth. Why is he suddenly going crazy, right? So at first it was a little off-putting seeing him just be that antagonist. Like he just kind of shows up like like Jaws, right? Like Brucey Shark basically just kind of shows up when you least expect it, and he's doing all this kind of stuff with no rhyme or reason. And that's where the whole Apex stuff came into play. It's like, okay, he senses now that
Right.
all right, they're up to something, right? Which I mean, it's one of those things when you really sit down, it's like, okay, so he sensed that there's something wrong, so he
Yo,
just
all
gonna
right.
hit every apex,
Yeah. That
compound and just
that
destroy shit.
yeah, that was kind of established in the previous films that once it have anything kind of strong on the planet that could challenge him, he'll go
Right.
after it immediately. So what I think was going on is that the second they turn on, well, the spoilers,
Mecha.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
Mechagodzilla,
yeah.
right? Every time they turn
Right.
on to test, well, Mechagodzilla, he pick up that, oh, it has something big, I'm gonna go after it, and that's
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
what was going on, right?
Right. So yeah, you're right. It does kind of establish it does kind of explain, oh, this is what we're really going for, right?
Right.
Now for the whole Mechagodzilla review, right? Now I will lie, when you actually see him, like I was at home watching this, I was clapping. I was like, yes,
Yeah,
Mechagodzilla, yes,
yeah.
yes.
This was the
It was
sad part.
predictable, but
That
it
right.
was so cool.
True,
this
but
this was Doomsday Batman v Superman all over again. It was like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
saw this, people saw it coming a mile away, and then they
Yeah.
outright kind of spoil it in some of the promotional material. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, well, okay, he's showing up. Like I wasn't, it was not shock or that surprising to anybody anyway. So it's like, all right, it's fine.
yeah.
True.
And I like that they had Julian Dennison, who I didn't even know was in the film. Like I'm not all too familiar with his work. Like I still haven't seen Hunt for the Wilder People. I know I
Okay,
suck, right?
right.
But whatever. I will watch it. I'll watch it. But
Yeah,
yeah, he just
he was
had to
in
be the guy to
Deadpool too.
say Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Let's just lean that cheese on this film, man. Just lean
Yeah,
the
the
cheese. Lean the cheese.
human characters kind of worked for me in this. Well, mostly Brian Tyree Henry, who I thought I would have hated in this,
Me
because
too,
you
me
know
too. I
I
was just looking for an
like,
excuse for me to
yeah,
just be pissed off at him. But I was like, no,
yeah, because
I actually kind of like him though.
yeah, I love the
Yeah.
actor. I love him in almost everything he's done. Love him in Atlanta and everything. But
Yeah.
I really thought we was gonna get Anthony Anderson from Transformers all over again.
Hmm.
Like just the
Oh
fat
God,
black.
no,
Right.
no.
I really
Ugh.
thought we was gonna
No.
get the fat black comic relief now. Oh,
Yeah.
he's fat and he's black. That's why it's funny. Like that, I really thought we would have gotten that, but no, we didn't get that. We get actually surprisingly well thought out for what we could get. Human grounded character, and he's like this kind of borderline conspiracy theorist, but in this world, it make perfect sense to think like that and all of that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Which I
Yeah.
like, yeah.
and I thought his character's work. It was fun, and he was funny.
Yeah.
He was actually like genuinely funny for a couple of his lines.
He was, he was, he
Yeah,
was.
Yeah.
The only thing that I found strange is that the Apex company would not have shut that podcast down and would not have easily identified who was behind it.
yeah, clearly.
Because
Yeah.
No, and I get
he
a feeling.
wasn't
I
he
get,
wasn't the most stealthy person,
right.
you
No,
know.
I get a feeling. I
True.
get a feeling they didn't care. Like his podcast was not like was just obscure anyway. So it's like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty funny though that yeah, Millie Bobby Brown's character, right? If you remember, she's the daughter of both Kyle Chandler and Vera Farmiga's characters from King of the Monsters, right? How she like real into the guy's podcast. Like
Yeah.
she's walking and she's listening to this, she going home, she pulling up episode 264 while listening to like, oh well, remember, and he have it copywritten as well too, so you just see the text like, oh yeah, what he said about Chinatown and all that kind of stuff. Like I thought that was like really, really funny though. I was like, wow, boy, you like really, really, really so fascinated by kaiju dread. Like even when
I
she
can't say I blame her
it's
though,
weird,
based on
but
what
it
she
kind of
went through. Eh?
works. Sorry?
I said based on what she went through, it actually makes sense that she would be that fascinated with them. Eh? I mean, she got up close and personal in a way that most people don't and survive. You know,
True.
so
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, true. I will say though, just as a little gripe though, or sort of a disappointment, they don't really give Kyle Chandler much to do here. So it once again ends with with Millie's character, well, in this case, being in Hong Kong and him having to go and save her. You know what I mean? Like it's similar to like the previous film where she was
Yeah,
kidnapped, right? And then she ends
yeah,
up in Boston. Well, I mean family home and all that kind of stuff, but she was like halfway around the world at first, and then they just brought her back home, right, for her to do that moment near the end of the film, right? But yeah, once again, it's just Kyle having to come in and be like, oh, there you are, oh, in
yeah.
Hong Kong, huh? Okay, yeah.
And
I just said,
incapable
don't
of
tell
so
it
much
now,
more.
Julia does
I
this
think he's
character,
in,
I'm gonna kill you, and that's it.
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's in danger of winning Father of the Year anytime soon.
Right? Yeah. And I would have loved to see what happened to Vera's character though, because all we just really
But she
see is just
died.
like she died.
She
Yes,
died?
no, but she
Yeah,
died.
No.
She was there
the
when Godzilla
the
did atomic breath. She sacrificed herself, kind of thing, to save everybody.
Yeah, well, I guess the thing is because you didn't really see it from the perspective of Millie's character. She just kind of goes about her life, well, pretty much on she own, which was also kind of I don't know. It's just one of those little things that I just wish the film could have explained. That like she just there by herself, listen to podcasts. Sorry, listen to this guy podcasts. Not a care in the world, you know what I mean? Well, she found her halfway away, halfway around the world in Monarch doing whatever. It's just kind of one of those like weird things, like narrative things, right? But yeah, so one last thing before we get to the Mecha Godzilla reveal. Um, one character which I wish that they could have done more with though. Ren Serizawa, who is the son of Ishiro Serizawa, that would be
Right.
Ken Watanabe's character. And like, okay, you're having me working for the bad guy basically, right? But oh gosh, two movies in where you're seeing your dad so committed to, saving the kaiju and let them fight and all that kind of stuff, and you just be like, yeah, let me just do this thing with Mechagodzilla and let me just stop
Right.
Godzilla because Godzilla is a threat. Like, so what about your dad? Like, what about what your dad
Right.
was doing?
Well,
No,
okay,
no,
so
no, no line or two saying, hey, my dad was believed in this, but I don't think that's true.
right.
Something like that we could have gotten there.
Yeah, I suspect that they cut some stuff with him because, like, I get a feeling that he thought Godzilla killed his dad. Like, that's how I kind of, because it was really unclear to me. He's like, he's this guy's son. Okay, but why is he against a Godzilla? I'm like, all right, that I feel they cut some stuff.
Yeah, because it was
Yeah.
just kind of weird that he just working with this megalomaniac all of a sudden, right? And now for the Mecha Godzilla stuff, right? So once again, when if you sit down, you think about it, it kind of doesn't make sense, right? So at the end of King of the Monsters, right? If you remember Charles Dance's character, right, the antagonist ends up
Hmm.
buying the one of the Ghidorah heads, right? The one that was chopped off, basically, right?
Hmm.
And oh yeah, whatever happened to Charles Dance's character?
Well, he
I,
stole the head and then he bought an island and he lived happily ever after. I don't
I
understand.
guess so. Like whatever
Right.
happened to
So
the guy?
yeah, this character completely disappeared because I get the feeling they were using the Ghidorah head to build to connect. Like that couldn't follow that either. Like why was he inside the skull of Ghidorah?
Yeah.
Follow that.
Said what
Some psychic
Ghidorah,
connection.
because yeah, Ghidorah's
Right.
three heads would talk to each other telepathically.
Yeah,
Okay.
So
because
apparently,
the neck is
with
so
the head being
long, basically.
removed,
That's the excuse. The neck's so
yeah,
long that they have to communicate telepathically. The
Right.
heads. Yeah.
right. So kind of like Pacific Rim, where to power this thing, you need all this,
Right.
Swedish
Okay.
science kind of stuff. That's what was going on.
Right.
Right. And well, the movie does a thing where characters, and I guess is in a way this is why we need the humans for to kind of explain stuff. So yeah, there's a tweet moment where Brian Tyree's character is saying, "Oh, Ghidorah and the psionic stuff and this kind of explaining stuff basically while he's observing it, right?" Because yeah, we all like, "Oh my God, it's actually Ghidorah's skull basically." Well, the head's there. So this whole thing about Ren using this psychic link basically to control Mechagodzilla was kind of interesting. That well, kind of weird too, but interesting at the same time too. But it did remind me of Pacific Rim, there, especially the whole psychic stuff there. You know what I mean? But I just thought like, oh, it's just gonna be this robot that they just control, but having it be this guy mentally control it was kind of weird there, but I do like that it kind of goes off the
Well,
reels and
only for a
eventually shows us
second,
why.
because he dies. He dies
Yeah, yeah,
before he could
Right.
actually
yeah,
control this thing.
yeah. Like I wouldn't lie though, just the reveal of Mechagodzilla was really cool though, but the mechanics behind it is still like okay, especially with Ren doing it too, as especially for what we know with his dad and the literal sacrifice that he made in the last film, right? But once again, if you sit down and you try to overthink it, it would really make sense, right?
Mm.
But whatever.
I like the design though. I love the rockets on the back that would
Yeah.
propel him into
Yes.
certain
Mhm.
movements. And yeah, I thought there was intelligence in the design that I really liked.
Yeah, yeah. Same here, same here, same here. As far as Alexander Skarsgård's character go, yes, he's just there basically to let us know about this whole Hollow Earth thing. Um, I like how he has he's this renowned novelist, right? He has like boxes of copies that he even get off the ground yet. I love that. That
Yeah.
was a really cool moment, yeah. But yeah, basically just kind of brought him in to kind of lead the pack basically to find this place, right? As far as the with Rebecca Hall and the little girl, I forgot the name, in it as well. Like those were the human elements. Those brought the heart to the show. And I like how it incorporated in terms of like with Kong himself, like wanting to be home or feeling like he needs to be home. And yeah,
Yeah,
well like the whole sign
it
language thing
was a, it was a
was
big.
it's very
I
much what
got
you
a lot of
expect
ET
from
there
Kong.
between the two of them.
Well, that's the thing. Like like when it comes to King Kong, though, you always have to expect that kind of heart in it. Like, oh, he's not just a beast. You know what I mean? There's beauty in the beast. That kind of vibe does. So a dog that they did that right, because they kind of hinted at it in the Skull Island with Brie Larson's character, a little bit with her, touching Kong a little bit. But just having the little kid there be in it, I thought that worked. And then also too, just the shocking fact that she's the last of the natives because there was a storm apparently that wiped out the whole tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I was like,
Yeah.
wow, but okay. But in terms of Kong itself, right? So this is where once again, like I was watching this thing, I was just like, I don't know if this working there. Kong it's pretty much Kong's film though, like his story that we'll see here. And
Yeah.
Godzilla is just the threat that kind of he's just the guy who just kind of butts in to start a fight basically.
Well,
And
this doesn't
which
surprise
was
me.
weird though to me.
This doesn't surprise me. Whenever Americans take on a Kong Godzilla movie, if you look at the past films as well, they always want Kong to be the hero because I mean Godzilla is Japanese, and they always tend to. I was actually surprised, happily so, but I was surprised that he got his ass handed to him on more than one
Twice.
occasion. But
Yeah,
exactly
I'm gonna
right.
talk about that. I'm
Hey,
gonna talk
hey,
about
hey,
that.
hey, hey.
I'm
Um,
gonna talk about that. But
but
go ahead.
Facts. Alice is
the
facts.
fact that they make him, because I guess he's the one who could emote more, if you want to put it like that, they probably figure,
Right.
okay, well, we can get more humanity out of Kong than we can out of Zilla. So we have to make it Kong's story.
Mhm. Yeah,
That sort of thing.
yeah. They should have really called this movie Kong versus Godzilla because yeah, it's a Kong movie, and
Right.
Exactly.
and they do make a good bit of effort to make him a lot more sympathetic. Because in Skull Island, I mean, he was pretty much the bad guy. So now you had to flip it and like, hey, yeah,
Well,
Kong is
more like
not,
call it couple my tooth and to do
yeah,
something about it. Kind
but
of.
still, but he was the antagonist. But now it's like, yeah, I mean, he's not that bad. I mean, yeah, he did kill a bunch of people, but yeah, yeah let's kind
Yeah.
of smooth. Let's kind of forget about that for now. This is older, kind of gentler Kong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Come on,
they
let's
even
root
pick
for him.
they even play some well, in Trinidad, this is what we'll call it, music radio 97 songs, for some moments when I was like, oh, okay, we had some classic oldies that this establish how good natured of a giant EP is. I was like, okay, I like that.
He's a
But
big yeah.
yeah, but to the show's defense, though, if you call it Kong versus Godzilla, it would sound very much like the
It was
1960s film.
confused. It was confused people.
Exactly. Now why I feel that they made this decision too is that well, not just because Kong can emote, right? That's like the simple answer, but I feel it's because we've had two films basically where Godzilla was the main star, basically, right? Well, the first one to extent, right? we only had one film where Kong was the star. So let's have this one be, where Kong is the star. So it's like, two for two there. I guess that's the decision. I guess,
Balance it
but
out.
Maybe,
Mm.
yeah.
yeah, to kind of
Yeah,
balance things
balance
out.
it.
I guess,
Yeah.
yeah. But still, it was just kind of weird having him be, the central character in all of this. That this Kong just sorry, and Godzilla just be this Jaws like character who just shows up ever so often, right? But we'll get to the fight in a bit, right? I just want to talk about the Hollow Earth stuff in a bit. Um, so yeah, the big joke with all this is like, yeah, you descend to the Earth and we see the sun, like, okay, like
No,
I
it's supposed
understand
to
it's
be an
supposed to be its
entire
own,
ecosystem.
right,
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 Yeah.
right.
right.
But we still see the sun though, but whatever, right? But
Well,
it was
wasn't
interesting though
that
that,
where Aquaman's mom was hanging out too? Hollywood?
For real.
oh yeah,
I think so, Yeah.
yeah. But in terms of the world itself, right? So I do like the fact that yes, you see all these prehistoric creatures. It's very, as I say, Edgar Rice Burroughs inspired and stuff like that, right? I would have wished that we saw a couple more of the kaiju from before, right?
Right,
Like we see
Agreed.
the skull is the skull crushers, right? As we call it.
right.
Mm.
Yeah,
They were in Kong Skull Island. Yeah.
Skull
you're right.
Smashers?
Yeah, smashers or crawlers or something like that.
That's-
Right. It's called it's skull crawlers,
Right.
right?
Okay.
So I do like the fact that you see that and Godzilla, and Kong get to do his thing, you know. But at the end of the day, it was just really an excuse, not just to have the power source thing that apparently Apex needed to properly power Mechagodzilla, but also for Kong to have an axe, so he have an advantage over Godzilla, right? When he does his atomic breath thing. But there's a shot where, like, you see, well, not just the axe, but you also see this stone throne, basically. And I was getting some Conan the Barbarian vibes, like, oh, this is my father's axe. This is worshiping Crom and all that kind of stuff. Like, okay, I see what y'all did there. But it's interesting, though, because, within Skull Island, you literally saw his parents, like the bones of his parents, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, even John C. Reilly's character say those are Kong's parents, right? But you would have think that they would have been in the Hollow Earth or something, or like some semblance of family that was, buried there or died there or something. And, it's just the weapon that was left there or something like that. It's just, it was just there, like literally waiting on them there. You know what I mean? It was kind of weird, but I do like the fact that, the franchise finally saying, here's what, you're probably wondering where all these weird creatures come from. This is the answer right here. I mean, this is where it's all is. This is kind of like what How to Train Your Dragon treated in terms of where all these different species of dragons came from. You know what I mean? That one area. This is the answer for it, right? Now, Kong actually getting back to Hong Kong. Well, first off, Godzilla actually figured out where it is, and then shooting his atomic breath so deep now that Kong
Yeah.
is able to see, see him. I was like,
I
okay, sure,
that was
okay,
insane.
movie,
That that
okay,
that
all
don't make
right.
no sense. That
Yeah, it
no
was
sense
weird.
at all.
How,
Yeah,
how,
that was insane.
and
That
then
that remind me of the joke, if you dig deep enough, you end up in China.
yeah,
Right.
I'm in China, yeah, and then because at first I was like, okay, why are we doing this reverse gravity thing? And Alexander's character mentioned, oh, here's bath bags, you'll need it. And like none of them really did need it because nobody puked in it, but whatever. But how Kong was able to use that now, basically, or did he use it? I think he did. Cause he slid down, but technically he slid back up.
Right,
The
because
way Kong
the
was, the
gravity
way
does
Godzilla was.
inverts. Yeah, it was
It
weird, but
reversed, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, but you would have think that he would have kind of floated up or something, that just stuck his axe and slid down or slid up. Once again, if you stop and figure out the logic, it makes no sense, right? Whatever. So now we get to the actual fight itself. And as we've all agreed, yes, it is incredible. This is something I wish that I could have seen on the big screen. Yes, you see a lot of damaged buildings, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I wonder how folks who were pretty much offended. Yes, Alice, I see you, who were offended by the climax of Man of Steel would have felt seeing this. But to the show's defense, they did offer they did issue emergency and evacuation, all that kind of stuff. And I just want to mention quickly, y'all couldn't give Lance Reddick more to do, Dread. He was just kind of just there to say, "This is what we've expected. Godzilla's finally attacking." The man don't really say much in the show. He just kind of just there to
Yeah.
talk to Kyle, and
I
that's
was
really
just
it.
like,
That we get
hey,
like, "Hey, you in
Zavala.
the show?" Yeah, that's really what it was like. "Hey, you in the show too?" Right, right. But yeah, the fight is awesome. It's funny though that when Mechagodzilla come in, you still see people running because that's where you see him kind of running through basically the Chinatown area basically. But yeah, just the fight itself leading up to that point was great. Of course, it was going to end well. Okay, so one thing I just want to mention quickly, right? Now, y'all know I was all Team Godzilla, Team Godzilla, Team Godzilla going into this film, right? But I won't lie though, and I think maybe it's because I watched Kong Skull Island right before watching Godzilla vs. Kong. I was kind of rooting for Kong too, because I was like, this man really like kicking ass. Like, yes, he was getting his ass washed. Yes, he was, right? But this man was just so resilient, but yes, I call him man, right? Yeah, he just kept fighting, man. Like just the moves he was doing, especially with the axe stuff and how he was able to grab the axes, even the
They did.
fake
They
out that
did.
he does. He
They
does
did
a fake out.
yeah, they did the same shot with him stuffing the axe in his mouth. Like they do the same thing.
Yeah.
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 Like just the moves this man was doing, and I was like, I totally understand why people were Team Kong, boy. Like I now understand, Trent. Like, and if I was going in, as Team Kong boy, I would have been cheering every single minute he was on screen fighting Godzilla, boy. That man really, really came through well, boy. I mean, Godzilla, yes, he did his thing and whatnot, boy, but I will lie, though, Kong came through, boy. Like, I was shocked at how much of a badass he was, though. But I mean, no lie, though, Godzilla was doing his thing, though. With the Atomic Breath, the man was really, really handing it to Kong, though. I'll give it that, though. And yeah, we do get the moment where, well, sort of similar to Batman v Superman, we with Kong on the ground, and even when he was on the ground,
You
he
know?
was just like, dude, I just want to get back up, but I'm so tired, but I still want to get back up to kill you. I just get that one shot, but
Yeah,
it's
they totally had a matter moment.
yeah. I like how we were just kind of screaming at each other. That was so funny. But yeah, but this whole Kong was just so like, you know what? I on the ground, Dre, but I
That's
still
good.
a
That's good.
warrior, Dre. I not gonna go down without a fight, Dre. So I just love that raw that they do, that roaring contest that they do. That was great. Now, when Mecha Godzilla come in, though, I would lie, though, I was feeling bad for Godzilla because he was just getting his ass handed
Right.
to him,
I
though.
think
Like,
that the whole
seriously.
point, because that's the thing with the movie. I get what he was going for, because on the one end, it um they clearly make Godzilla win. Godzilla win this one. But at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
time, I get what he was going for in terms of, oh well, let's just put Godzilla in a situation where he needs Kong's help or something like that. So it's like,
Yes.
I don't have a problem with it.
Well, yeah. Well, if it's just a one tiny gripe, just gripe wise, I wish that Godzilla had not so much a great advantage, but I just felt like as soon as Mechagodzilla come in, he was just getting washed,
Yeah, he was getting watched, right?
just getting washed, wash. Get
Oh,
back up, he get hit. Get back, you know what I
what
mean? I thought like he would at least kind of get the upper hand at that point in time. I was like, nope,
I,
Mecha
I
just
just
stop,
interpret, yeah,
just
I
pummel him
interpret
down,
it.
way.
Yeah, I just interpret it as, oh, he have no chance because Mecha Godzilla like perfectly designed for him to counter Godzilla.
Right. So yeah, so the moment though where well, of course, as expected, no, they literally jumpstart. They literally jumpstart. King Kong's heart. Well, Kong's heart. Sorry. That would
Yeah,
be the humans themselves, right? That would be Alexander and Rebecca come up with the idea to do so, right? I will lie though, when he get back up and he grab the axe too and he start
yeah, huh?
fighting, by it was glorious. By the music that he play fit, the moment with him just doing all that stuff though, I was just like cheering. And once again, if I was Team Kong from the beginning, I would have just been losing my mind. I will lie though. This Kong just came through hard in the end. And I was thinking to myself, but title Godzilla vs. Kong, maybe Godzilla will do the final blow. No, sir. Kong lays the final blow,
Yeah,
Dread. I
exactly.
was like,
They, they,
yes,
they,
yes.
they try to balance it for the audience though. Like yeah, they had a clear winner, but at the same time, they give Kong a little thing.
Well,
Yeah, yeah,
and they kind of had to do that because I mean Godzilla washed his backside 2 times.
Right,
It's like
exactly.
okay, let
yeah,
him win something, you know.
yeah. And I love how afterwards though, I mean it's a giant lizard and a giant ape, right? So, Kong had a show off. He, just he, his dominance and all that kind of stuff. And Godzilla's like, yeah, thanks, man. I'm gonna see you later, man. And you just kind of walk off. He do the yell and walk off. I love that. I love that when they just kind of watch each other. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we destroy a whole city, you cut mass, but hey, you see my life, So yeah, we cool now. We cool now, right? just to cross my again, or else just to cross my again. I just kind of walk off like that. I love that. I love that. Well, that moment with Godzilla walking and you hear. I've got the song that they played in the end. It's this really popular song. All I need is the air that I breathe, and that's how I remember the chorus going. That was like a really cool moment, though, how they did that, and then once again showing Kong. Well, now in his new home, and they have this nice moment with him doing the sign language to the girls, seeing home, and yeah, it's like a nice way to end the film off, man. And no, guys, there's no post credit scene. I was waiting. I was watching the whole thing play out, and no, that it kind of doesn't need to. Although to be honest, I was kind of hoping that we'd see some sort of like stinger for what we could have got next. But hey, it is what it is, and it just kind of stops right there, right? Um, so in closing, though, I would say just right off the bat that this is my official pick for guilty pleasure movie of 2021. It certainly entertained me, and I like that it didn't overstay its welcome. It was tightly paced for its 1 hour to 53-minute runtime, though. Even though you would like with the human stuff, it does feel like things kind of slow down a bit, though. Oh yes, one thing I forgot to mention too. I do appreciate the callbacks to both Kong Skull Island and King Kong versus Godzilla, right? With Kong Skull Island, the whole thing with him taking the tree and just ripping apart the leaves, so he has this this weapon basically, which he uses at the beginning. I really thought that was cool. And then also too with King Kong and Godzilla, well, the reference there I felt was how they kind of just met for the first time. Just kind of show off the powers, and this is well, for in this new movie, this was them on the boat. Well, the whole ship scene basically, right? Where it was just kind of just them not really fighting per se, but just kind of trying to outdo the other one basically, right? So I was like, oh, this is kind of like how the first one was, when they were just kind of testing themselves, but it's not like the real fight yet. The real fight will show up near the end of the film, right? Now, like that old film, though, yes, there are a lot of human moments in it, right? Now, the human moments for me didn't really bore me or anything like that. I wasn't rolling my eyes. I wasn't like hating on anybody or wishing anybody would die, right? But still, I would admit, though, I wasn't really sure of the directions where they were going. I wasn't sure about this Hollow Earth thing. I wasn't sure about the whole conspiracy theory search into Apex thing, right? But when I realized, oh, it's just an excuse to have Kong find this mythical, axe to fight Godzilla. That's why. I'm like, all right, well, okay. So yeah, folks, it's just one of those shows where like if you really stop and think about things, yeah, it will just take you out of the show. It really wouldn't make any sense, right? But I do applaud that the show is aware of that. It's not really taking itself too seriously at times, but it just wants to have fun, and for the most part, that's what it does, right? I will say, like right now, I kind of rested as to whether I prefer this more over Skull Island. I would say yes, I do, because of just how great that payoff was, how great that fight was. So right now, where I rank things is that yeah, this one will be number one in terms of the Monsterverse. The second one will be Skull Island. Third one will be King of the Monsters. Fourth one is Godzilla from 2040, right? But yeah, for what it is, I mean, it's big, it's loud, it's dumb. It just reminded me of the summer blockbusters that I grew up on, and I still defend like Batman Forever and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, as a summer blockbuster that we did get this summer as a guilty pleasure, yeah, I totally enjoyed this for what it was, man. So not a perfect film, mind you. I mean, you could study for the easy logic behind it, but I had fun. So rating wise, I'm gonna give this a lighter decent 4, man. This is definitely worth checking out. If you're lucky enough to see it on the big screen, see it on big screen. But I mean, I was skeptical of watching it at home, and I had a blast. I popped some corn, had some fun. I was cheering at some points, kind of wondering where things was going at other points. And but overall, though, just the payoff and where everything kind of led up to, yeah, I was mostly, if not entirely, satisfied. So yeah, definitely check this out. Julia, quick thoughts. Sorry, final thoughts on rating on Godzilla vs Kong.
Yeah, as I said, yeah, this is, as I said, favorite of the Monsterverse. Visually stunning, some of the best fight actually. That, as you mentioned, that scene on the tanker, yeah, that was just epic for me. Yeah, and as I say, it's a tight movie. The humans don't outstay their welcome. Um, yeah, and it's full of big, stupid plot holes and things that don't make sense. But yeah, you're just kind of like, all right, yeah, this is kind of dumb, but I'll roll with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I had fun throughout. I never felt bored. I never like was watching the time. Hey, what's gonna happen? And yeah, it's just a big, fun, dumb movie, and yeah, go watch it on the big screen. And I had a good time. I wouldn't mind going back and watching it again. Yeah. So this is a solid 7 out of 10 for me.
Okay. Summer, final thoughts on rating.
I'm with Julian on this one. It's a 7 out of 10 for me as well. I had a blast with this. I got what I wanted, and I did not. The funny thing is, I went into this because it was I know how Americans are with Kong and how much they love him. I honestly thought Kong was going to be kicking all of the ass. So I was pleasantly surprised. I had a lot of fun with it, and I know maybe with time we would get better human character development, and I think that's gonna be. I think for them to work on that as well, they're gonna need to keep bringing some of these same characters back so we could at least have some type of connection with them. But again, I wasn't there for that. I was there for Kong. I was there for Godzilla, and I think Adam Wingard did a wonderful job with this. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else they have in store. I mean, I can't even think of anything at this point, story wise, but we'll have to
It have,
wait
it
and
have,
see.
it have a lot of shit to do, Violante and all kind of thing.
Okay. I guess I'll have to catch up on a lot of the movies to see where they would be going with it because I've maybe have only seen about six of these movies. Not the recent stuff. I mean the Toho universe
Right.
films. So yeah, I definitely maybe we'll check those out and see what else we could get, what else they'll have in store for us. But yeah, I had fun with this, and it's a 7 out of 10 for me.
Right.
Right. Well, before we get to your final thoughts, Alice and Ricardo, right? I feel like this, like right. Well, I forgot to mention this, right? I feel like in terms of like these films in general, but then again, I haven't seen all of them. There's really only so much you could do with your human characters, right? So you have to kind of make them likable, and you have to kind of give them a reason to be in the film, which I felt like this film, really, really did the best out of all of them thus far.
Yeah.
But once again, it's not like you're gonna have. Well, I guess they dropped the ball with Brian Cranston's character, but you really could do so much though in terms of having characters that you genuinely have to care about within seeing monsters duke it out and destroy cities, right? So it's one of those, like I said, one of those give and take things with with this with films like this now where okay, at the end of the day, we kind of want to see monsters fight and whatnot, but and we don't care for humans, but we kind of need them to get the story along, So once again, it's just one of those things that you kind of have to accept that they're really gonna put that much effort into making characters well developed and whatnot. At the end of the day, you just want to see the monsters you can. I guess that's just part of the genre, right? For better or for worse. Agree to disagree, right? Yeah, so Alice, final thoughts and rating.
Well, like I said, I had a blast watching this movie. I did the same thing like you. I got my bowl of popcorn. I cheered at the screen at certain points. So, and I put it on the same level as how I feel about Kong Skull Island. It's something that I would go back and watch over again. It would be a guilty pleasure for me. Is added on to my list of guilty pleasures now. And
Same here too. Same here.
yeah,
that
yeah,
and the original King Kong versus Godzilla, they're there now.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I had a blast watching it and cheering at the screen and and I agree with that you statement that you just said where there's only so much you can do with human characters because again it's you want to see these two humongous titans duke it out and fight each other. You're not really gonna the other people are just like yeah supporting characters like you said to help the story along. So I really don't know how much more improvement they can do on that. I'm with some in terms of I really don't know what the next step is, especially as we didn't have a post credit scene. So let's see what happens. My rating 7.5 out of 10.
All right. And last but not least, Ricardo, final thoughts and rating.
Yeah, I dug it for what it was. But yeah, I was just a little underwhelmed that they could have done more with this, I felt, as it was. I didn't hate it by any stretch of imagination. It was fun. But I don't know, 6 out of 10 for me. I didn't love it. I just felt they could have done. It's one of those wasted opportunity type things. I wish they did more with this, as it was. But it was good. Still pretty good. Still pretty good. You know, as I say, Guana v Monk was pretty fun, and you're not mad at any of it. It's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. But in closing though, I am curious to see what the future of this franchise will be because it has to have a future, right? You know what I mean? You can't have two titles like this just duke it out and then say, oh, that's just the end of the show. Sorry, the end of the franchise. They have to go on by. I'm really not sure where they're gonna go next. Well, I mean, they have tons of other characters that they could pull from, But yeah, I mean, I guess the sky's the limit, right? We'll see where this crazy wacky Monsterverse goes.
Hey, this is Matthew Bailey, and I hope you've enjoyed this segment of the BS Beats and Bailey podcast. If you'd like to hear the full episode, hit up my link tree. On the other side of my head are 2 videos you can check out. Like this video if you like it, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell as well. Thanks for listening, and until the next one, take care, peace.